Friends and comrades, today I would like to talk to you about the bloody war going on in Ukraine. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, a sovereign and an independent country, has shaken the international community. It is not like other interventions in the past, for instance, in Iraq, Syria, or Afghanistan, because there the dictators and the fundamentalists were oppressing and torturing their own people. Here, Ukraine, a sovereign democratic country, has been invaded by a mightier power for no provocation from Ukraine. Why did it happen? There are various interpretations and reasons put forward by the experts, leaders, and observers. Our Indian media, of course, is largely parroting, as usual, the government line without any meaningful debate or discussion. The frontline perspective on the war is that Ukraine became a pawn in the rivalry between the United States-led bloc and Russia, tacitly supported by China, or the new united front comprising Russia and China. Russian refrain is that NATO, led by USA, in contravention of their promise not to expand into the East, they were recruiting members from East European countries, and they had also invited Ukraine to join NATO and European Union. That would have meant NATO forces sitting on the borders of Russia, and the Russian so-called strongman Vladimir Putin registered this expansion strategy of United States strongly. He did not want to let go of Ukraine from its sphere of influence. He tried to dissuade Ukraine first by bullying its neighbor, deploying hundreds of thousands of troops on Russian-Ukraine border, by supporting the Russian-speaking insurgents, and finally moving in the army into Ukraine territory. There is another unverified assumption that Putin did not reconcile to the breakup of Soviet Union in 1990s, and he is trying to reunite the erstwhile members of the Soviet Union. That's a bit far-fetched. But on Ukraine, certainly Putin had his own interpretation of history. He thinks that Ukrainians and Russians have a common ancestry and therefore they are inseparable. He also believes that Ukraine was created by Russians, before Lenin by the Tsars, then Lenin himself. And Lenin had famously said, if we lose Ukraine, we lose our head. So that has been a twisted reading of history by Putin, which Ukrainians and other historians are strongly challenging. In any case, Ukraine has been invaded partly by mistakes committed by the Western power led by United States. There was a promise not to expand NATO into the East, and there was a diplomat from US, George Kennan, who famously said expanding NATO into the East would be a serious, fateful mistake in the Cold War era, because it will inflame the nationalistic and militaristic tendencies in Russia. It will also undermine the democratic development in that country. But the Western powers did not heed this historic advice. They had recruited members from former Soviet Empire, and they have positioned hundreds of missiles in Poland, barely 100 kilometers away from Russia. In any case, the aggression has happened, the war is going on. What we should discuss today in the international community is the reaction by the members of the international community to this very unfortunate development.